friends, Stephanie from Mrs. D's Corner here. Welcome. I am here to show you guys tonight the February and the Winter Games adapted piece book sets. I want to show you each book and the mat, and I'm going to choose one of the books then to read with you and kind of model how I would do this in my classroom. I also have two freebies to share with you. You'll find all the links above. So the February set is linked above. The Winter Games set is linked above. The TPT freebie, which I will share with you, is linked above. And then there's also a new freebie in the resource library on my website that you can get, and it's all linked above. So for anything that you see tonight, all your links are already above. So if you're catching the replay, that's where you're going to find all of the key information that you're looking for. So welcome. Happy Tuesday. I hope y'all are having a great day. Let's get started because I'm really excited to share with you the February books. So I'm going to start with February because February is right around the corner. And then the Winter Games are coming. So I created a set that is kind of exclusive for the Winter Games, but you can also use it in the winter time to talk about winter sports. So it's not exclusive to the Winter Games that are coming up in like 2 weeks, but you can certainly use it for that. And then you can also reuse it every year during the winter season to talk about winter sports. So let's get started. The first book I'm going to show you has to do with Groundhog's Day. So February set covers a wide range of topics. So we have Groundhog's Day, Valentine's Day, dental health awareness, the 100th day. I know some of your 100th days are like this Friday, which is so soon already. But that's in the February set, and I'm probably forgetting some. So let's just look at the February set. So this is one of the books from February, Substitute Groundhog, and here is the map that goes along with it. This is a great book. I got it from, where did I get it from? From thriftbooks.com. So if you are wondering or thinking, oh my goodness, there's no way that I can afford all of these books brand new to get all of these books. I'm telling you that I maybe spent $50 on all of these books, and I'm going to show you 12, and 2, so 26 books total. I spent maybe $50, like maybe 60. So go to thriftbooks.com. I will add the link to the comment after this video to share with you how to build a classroom library on a budget, and there's a 15% discount code. It is affiliate link for thriftbooks.com, so you can get 15% off the already like super cheap prices of thrift books. So that's where I got this one from, Substitute Groundhog. And then we have, oh my gosh, guys, this book is so cute. The Kissing Hand. So I try to keep all of my mats, and this is just for me, I try to keep all of my mats kind of themed for the month. So because February is Valentine's Day, I kind of tried to do like purples and pinks and reds. So you'll notice that theme within the February set when you see the pictures. All of the videos for these, if you are wanting to put them together and need that visual of putting them together, I have uploaded all of the February videos already, and I will be uploading all of the Winter Games videos by this weekend. So I'm working on them. It just took me a little bit longer. Here's the biggest Valentine ever. These books are super sweet, and I'm really sad that we kind of have to wait until October to do the biggest pumpkin ever because these mice are just precious. I love them. So the biggest Valentine ever, and here's the mat for this one. Now you'll notice, if you're kind of noticing on the mats, that some of my pieces are different sizes. When you open the PDF for a specific book, you'll see there's a page that says directions at the top, and it looks very similar on every single page or in every single PDF that you open, but it's not. At the very bottom, there's a percentage, and it's a specific percentage that I am recommending that you print the piece sizes for that book. If you don't, your boxes are gonna be 2 inches by 2 inches, so they're rather large. This is, I'm gonna go with, this is probably half the size. These are about 1 inch by 1 inch. And you can see that they fit perfectly inside the book. So I've given you recommendations within the PDFs of how big to print them so that they aren't too large for the book or too small for the book. And so all of your pieces are going to fit on the mat as well. So Splat the Cat, love me some Splat the Cat. This book, this next book, is probably my favorite dental health book. So I was really excited for February that I got to add it in. Dr. DeSoto. I love, love, love this book. You can see that there are so many questions for this book, so you'll definitely want to follow along with the recommendations for printing, but there's so much content in this book that is great for asking students questions. I love it. I love Dr. DeSoto. Savannah is asking, are there extra pieces at the end so they can't use process of elimination? So there are not extra pieces within the set. How I recommend that you use the pieces is, well, let's use this old lady book as an example, okay? So there was an old lady who swallowed a rose. Y'all know my love for this little old lady. She loves to eat everything. I wish I had her stomach. I love to eat too. So let's talk about the extra pieces. So I don't include extra pieces only because if you look at Dr. DeSoto, okay, just as an example, there are so many pieces here already that if you add, or if I added extra pieces that didn't go along with the story, it would be super, super confusing for the kids. So the whole point of the adapted piece book sets, why I created them, is to set my students up for success. So what you can do is, my friend Ashley, she does this in her, I guess it's like a life skills, and it's an MD classroom. And she has a paint stick and it has a Velcro on it. And all you do is you're just gonna take 2 pieces or 2 answers. So you would take 2 of these, put them on the paint stick, and ask the child what comes next. Or you can do 3 pieces or 4 pieces. To whatever level of ability that child is working on, you can add them to the paint sticks. If they're only working on 1, you can certainly just have 1. If they're working on eye gazes, you can have them look at it. Or if they're using switches, you can do them by switches. So you can do it that way too. There's a lot of different ways for you to be able to differentiate them. But I didn't want to add in the stress of potentially having like extra pieces and wrong pieces. And I didn't want to confuse you guys as the teachers either. And you guys being like, okay, there's like 10 extra pieces that don't go with the story. Where do I put them? So I'm only giving you guys the pieces that go with the story. And if you follow the videos that are linked, so if you want to see the preview videos for each of these, you can click one of the videos or one of the links for either February or the Winter Games. If you click the preview and go to page 5, you can click on any of those book titles and it will take you to a video that shows you page by page what questions are going on that page. I've also numbered them in the PDFs. You'll know what goes here, and then you're gonna see me answering each question as it goes along. It's sped up, so it's a little fast, and it's not like super slow and drawn out, but it's the perfect speed for you to kind of just get what goes where if you need that reference. What's also great to do is, I didn't do it for this story because there aren't that many pieces, but you can number on the back of your answer pieces. So say there's 24, I don't know how many are in this. Say there's 24 questions. So you're gonna number all of your pieces 1 to 24. This also helps you for the larger stories where there's maybe like, I don't even know, I have pieces falling off because they're overlapped. But it also helps you to keep track of the questions as you're going through. Maybe you're on question 30, right? And you're like, oh man, I don't really know what comes next. There's so many pieces, or I'm kind of confused, or you're on 12 and you have all these pieces left. You can be like, okay, let's kind of look at the back and see who's 13. So you don't tell your students that they're numbered on the back, but you and the paras and the other adults in your classroom are gonna know that. So that helps too for the longer stories. But so we have the old lady who swallowed a rose. I hope I answered your question. I kind of got off on a tangent there about different ways to use it. But Savannah, I hope I answered your question correctly. Then we have the hat. I had so many of you ask for the hat and the mitten. So if you're wondering, oh my goodness, get the words out. If you're wondering about Jan Brett's story, The Mitten, that is in January set. So the hat is in February set. Okay? Alicia is asking if the videos for Eric Carle are ready yet. They are not. I'm going to finish the winter set and then I'm going to work on the Eric Carle set. So I'm sorry, I know I'm like super behind on the videos, but they're coming, I promise. Groundhog Gets a Say. I really like this book because it's not just a children's book. You can use it kind of as scientific facts too and things to learn about Groundhog's Day. One of my favorite parts in the story, and I just have to share it with you. Well, 2 different parts in the story that are super cute. This little map here of the groundhog where he lives, there's a spot for potty, and there's actually a potty piece, and it's a toilet, because I know that that's going to engage your students. As silly as that is, They can look at the map and you can ask them where different parts of it are, but I know some of my friends are going to find that absolutely hilarious, and they're really going to be into the story because of that. But the other part that I really liked is within this story, if you've not read Groundhog Gets a Say, so there's the story, sorry, I'm backwards to me, but not you guys can see it correctly. This is the story here, right? The text of the story. But then as you go through, there are other little conversations from different little characters throughout, popping in and kind of chiming in during the story. So I try to include little pieces here. This page is about it says people love groundhogs everywhere. And then it talks about the farmer who doesn't love the groundhog, or they have to use their inferencing to kind of figure out why the groundhog is not favored by the farmers. So that's really fun too, and it's a great book to talk about all of those different topics too. So the 100th day, we have Centipede's 100 Shoes. This is a really cute book, and this is another book that I got from Thrift Books. You can see it's like an old county library book, but I think I probably paid like $3.49. That's usually what the prices are, $3.19, $3.49 for a book. So they're not super expensive, but they are used books. But it's okay because they're going to get used in the classroom. You're going to take pieces in them anyway, so it's a fantastic way to get used books and use them in your classroom. We also have Somebody Loves You, Mr. Hatch. Love, love, love this story. It is a great story to talk about friendship and engaging with people in the community and being a friend and how you can be a friend. This is a really great story. It's so precious. This story is fantastic, a classic. I was going to stack it, but it's not wide enough there. So Where the Wild Things Are. I actually picked this book up from Marshall's for $6. And I was like, yeah, that'll be a great story for February. You talk about friendship, and it's also a great behavior book to kind of talk about behaviors in the classroom and how, you treat adults or your parents and things like that. So that's really fun. And then this is the last book for February. We have the 100th Day Worries. This story, too, has a lot of answer pieces. So you'll notice sometimes in the video, I actually have added a fourth line down here. There's not a fourth line on the actual answer mat itself. So if you see there's a fourth line of answers, it's because there's too many for the 3 rows, even though they're overlapped and stacked like crazy. I'm just adding like an extra row down here at the bottom. Not a big deal. Don't let it frustrate you. Just add the Velcro where you need it. You can also print 2 mats. So one of the mats for one of the Olympics books, you actually have to print 2 mats because there are so many pieces, and I'll show you that mat. And kind of explain why, but it's for very, very good reasons. So that was February's set. Then we also have the Winter Games set, which I was really excited about. One of my newest favorite all-time books is in this set, and I can't wait to show it to you. I think I've shared it with y'all before. If you haven't seen it on Facebook, maybe you've seen me share it on Instagram in one of my stories, but I love, love, love this book. I'm going to share it with you first because I love it so much. So this book is actually one that I discovered when I was looking for books about winter games and sports that people play in the winter. And it is called Max and Marla. So here's the mat, the answer piece mat for Max and Marla. This story, so if you know who Jen Jones is, if you follow her on Facebook, if you don't, or even follow her on Instagram, you need to go follow Jen Jones from Hello Literacy. She is a huge advocate for literacy. I mean, obviously, Hello Literacy, right? But she talks about how picture books are still reading. It's still reading, even with picture books. And this story is a great example of that. The illustrations in this book are fabulous. Fantastic. Some of the best illustrations that I have ever seen. And I might be biased, but I have a lot of books. But what I like about this story is, on this page, students are really going to have to pay attention to the words, which are over here, and then the pictures, and really look at the pictures to be able to answer these questions. So where are they? The text isn't telling you where they are. What are they doing? The text isn't telling you what they're doing. They have to look at the picture on this page to answer both of those questions. So if you're wanting to use picture books in your classroom, this is a great place to start. If you want a book for your higher level students that really gets them thinking and inferencing and looking at the pictures and answering comprehension questions about the text and the pictures, This is a fantastic book that you need for your classroom. So Max and Marla, there's that one, and I have pieces flying off again. All right, so there's Max and Marla. I have so many books in front of me, I don't know where to stack them. Then we have Henry Hockey Sticks, a great book about hockey and playing on the pond. Then we have Snowman Paul in the Winter Olympics. This is a great book to talk about social skills because it talks about in this story how, I'm just going to tell you about it. Snowman Paul is in the Winter Olympics, but he's like the best Olympian ever. But it's because he's a snowman and all of his friends are like the Arctic wind and the snow, and they help him win the Winter Olympics. So the little boy in the story tells the snowman Paul, you cheated, and snowman Paul kind of has to confess and give over his medals and earn it the hard way, right? Or the right way. So this is a great book to talk about those social skills, being a good sport, not getting angry, and you know, just doing what you love. So this is a great story for that. So that's Snowman Paul. The illustrations in this story are really fun too. So this is another example of where they have to look at the pictures to actually answer the questions that I've put inside of the book. A Limp Pig is super cute, y'all. Oh, it's one of the first ones that I found when I was doing my research for the Winter Olympic Games, or the Winter Games book set. And I was like, a limp pig? That's going to be an interesting story. And it is really, really cute. The pictures are great, and I love it. It's kind of funny. So here he is in a sprinting race with all these animals, right? And then they go, and he kind of gets, he's slower. He gets left behind. Then on the next page, it says he took it pretty well, but he's like bawling his eyeballs out. So it's comical. You're going to enjoy this book as much as your students are. And they kind of have to think about it. Like, Boomer took the loss pretty well. So to us, and very literally, right, our kids are going to think, oh, he's fine. Like, he's okay. But then they're going to look at the picture and be like, but he's crying. So was it sarcasm? Or is he really upset? Or how did he feel? And the question on this page is, how did he feel? So it kind of helps them pick up those different things within the text and the pictures. So that one's a lot of fun. Camels Don't Ski. This one's really, really cute too. I know I say that about all of the books, but I really love them. Camels Don't Ski is about a camel. Well, and it's pretty much a story about the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So the camel's in the desert, and he has to carry all these loads of stuff, like from the oasis to the desert, from the oasis to the desert, and he's like, I'm done. I'm going skiing. I love being in the cold. And then he goes to the mountains to ski and realizes he has to carry his skis and all of this stuff up the hill just to be able to come down. And it's freezing cold, and he's like, I'm just going to go home. And then when he goes back to the desert, he's so excited he's home. He doesn't have a problem with carrying the load on his back. So it's a great, great story about the grass is not always greener on the other side. And you can see this is another one of the books that I got from Thrift Books because it is from the Atlanta Fulton Library. It's actually a discarded book. So there's that one. Just One Goal is a really, really cute book too. This is the first time that I had read this book. I actually grabbed it just for this set, but it's a fantastic book. You can see that I got it from Thrift Books too. Love me some Thrift Books. It's a great story about a little girl. So she really wants to ski, but the hockey rink is like across town, and her parents, it's too far for them to take her. Her sisters won't take her. She's like, well, let's just make a hockey rink on the ice. And they're like, no, like that's too much work. So she starts doing it on her own, and eventually the hockey rink on the ice gets bigger and bigger. So then everybody comes out to help. And then they start playing hockey on the ice, and the ice starts to crack. But she really, really wants to win this hockey game. So I'm not going to finish, but she goes down, and the ending is really cool. I'm not going to share the ending with you because that's probably the best part. And your kids will really like the ending of that story. It's silly. Tacky the Penguin. Love me some Tacky the Penguin too. So this is Tacky in the Winter Games. Again, you can see this one has 4 full stacks of answer pieces. So this one has a lot. This is one of the ones that I'm going to number so that I know they're in order when we're doing them. So Tacky in the Winter Games, which is probably a book you already knew about or is already in your plethora of books in your classroom library. Oh my goodness, y'all. This book, oh, I didn't finish putting it away. So you can see I still have pictures in this book from when I was doing the videos earlier. Learning to Ski with Mr. Mcgee. This story is hilarious. So when I'm making these books, I read the stories first. And then if I like the story, and I think my kids are going to like the story, and I think y'all are going to like the story, then I'll turn it into an adapted book piece set if there is enough content within the book that I can make an adapted piece set. This book, your kids are going to love this book. It's super silly, but the pictures are fantastic within it. So you can see there's Mr. Mcgee wants to go skiing. And actually, a side note, I've learned that there are more books in this set about Mr. Mcgee, which I have to grab. I didn't know that before ordering this. So Mr. Mcgee wants to ski, so he takes his dog, up to the top of the mountain, and they come down. Well, there's this moose who doesn't see them skiing down the hill, and he kind of goes to go across to the tree across the way, and Mr. Mcgee ends up like skiing and sledding right underneath him, but then he hits a log, his skis hit a log, and he flies over. He's hanging upside down in this ravine of ice and snow up in the mountain, and this poor little moose thinks that the skis upside down is a bridge, and he goes to walk across it, and it's just super silly. The illustrations are fantastic. Your kids are going to love this book, and they're going to think that it's just hilarious. It's a great children's read. So I definitely recommend, this is by Chris Van Dusen. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly. There's other books in that series that somebody let me know, and I haven't grabbed them yet, but I'm sure they're just as great. So Hockey Morning, Noon, and Nights. This is about a little boy who loves hockey. He plays it morning, noon, and night. It's all he thinks about. So this would be great is if you have kids in your class that don't even necessarily play hockey all the time, or if they're doing basketball or cheerleading or any sport, and they do it morning, noon, and night. It's all they think about. This would be a great book to share with them, because it talks about having love for a sport. So it's really, really cool. This one is called Wally, Raccoons Farmyard Olympics. This is a great story about not giving up. I'll just leave it at that. About not giving up and finding your knack for a winter sport or a sport that you love. I'm saving the really big one for last. I have two more, and then we'll read a book together, I promise. So we have Cali Cat, Ice Skater. This one is really cute too. I know I keep saying that about all the books. They're all really good books, and I'm so glad that I found all of them. Cali Cat is a story about a cat who loves to ice skate, and her friends, they don't like to ice skate until they find out that there is a competition coming to her town, and they help her train, and the competition comes, and she goes through the competition, the ice skating competition, and she doesn't win. And her friends are like, man, you must feel pretty awful. And she goes to sleep that night, wakes up the next morning, and goes out and ice skates again. And she just finds that love for ice skating all over. And her love for it is just because she loves doing it, not because she wants to win a prize to do it, or because somebody wants to make her do it or anything like that. It's because she truly loves ice skating. So that's a really good story about loving something, like just truly loving something and finding the joy in a sport. Like it's great. So this is the book that I was telling you that I need to print 2 of these. So this is one. All of the pieces are in the book right now because there are so many. But if you're gonna prep this book, print 2 of these, and I'll show you why. So G is for Gold is an Olympics alphabet. So when you open up the story, what you're gonna see when you download the PDF for the Winter Games, you'll see G is for Gold. There are 3 pieces for each letter. You don't have to use all 3 pieces. You can use 1 piece, however many you want, but they're all labeled. So you'll see an A next to all 3 of these on the first page, and then B will have B's next to them. So you'll know exactly where they go. There's also at the end of all the pictures, so at the end of all these, there is 1 page that has the alphabet letters that you can put up here. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so I have not printed those yet. I don't know why I didn't print them when I printed the answer pieces. So you can do this book in 2 ways. If you have students who are still working on alphabet recognition or matching the alphabet, you can have those students match the letters while you're reading the story, and then have your other students match the pictures to what they're reading. Because this book will be really hard, I'll be honest, this book will be really hard for your lower level readers because the text is so little, and I know you're probably going to be reading it to them anyway. I do this during story time or guided reading. So you're going to read the story to them, but there's so much information in that little bit on one page. So it's great. This book might be one that you do over a couple of days. It's a fantastic book. There's so much within each book. I'm trying to look at it as I to show you guys. But you can see, so I just added, again, I'm backwards. So B, I added the Velcro so I can just prep the alphabet pieces and put them on. You can even use magnetic letters if you wanted and add a piece of Velcro and stick them in. However you want to do it is fine. But you'll just see there are 3 pieces for every letter. Oh, and it's a really big book too. So, G is for gold. I also ordered some other Olympics books, and if you want to read those, I can link the blog post I did about all of the Olympics books that I bought for the Winter Games that are coming up. Let me share with you the 2 freebies that I added today, like right before dinner, because I haven't finished prepping them yet. I just prepped the mats. So, when I'm prepping, you're going to get a full page, right? And you're going to have all the boxes on there, and the box with the question is going to be next to the corresponding answer picture. So what I do is I print all the pictures out, or I print, laminate, and then I cut all the pictures out, and I cut the questions out in strips and stick them in a baggie and put the name on them. So because I printed them in 2 different sizes, I just put the small ones are for Hedgehog and the larger squares are for the sportsmanship book that I have. So I put them in baggies. I reuse the baggies afterwards. I just scribble the name out and reuse it. That way when I'm doing it, I take the PDF and I just literally go right through. I sort out the questions and put them in piles of like all the what's in one pile, all the who's in one pile. And then I just use the PDF to kind of go through and say, okay, this page gets a what, when, put it in order, pull my tape, put them on, and then I stick them in the book. You can do it however you want. If you're using the videos, it's much easier for you guys to use the videos because you can see where I put them, what's going on each page. All you kind of have to do is just cut them out and add your Velcro. So the first freebie, if you're looking at the links above, this is going to be the TPT freebie. This one is on TPT now. You can download it now. The link is above. It's labeled TPT freebie. It is Howard P. Wigglebottom, Learns About Sportsmanship. And here is the answer map that goes along with it. So you have this here. This one is on TPT. It is a freebie. There's also, I don't know where I put it. I have Love Monster somewhere. That was the first freebie. And then I asked you guys to leave me some reviews on that one. And if you got to 50 reviews within like 2 days, I would add in another freebie. So I'm like 2 weeks late on it. I'm sorry. But this is your second freebie for getting all those reviews. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This one goes great with the Winter Games unit because it's about sportsmanship and playing a game. Winning isn't everything, which is a fantastic social skill book for our friends, by the way, even if you don't use it during the Winter Games or winter sports. The second freebie is in the resource library on my website, so mrsdscorner.com. If you click resource library at the top, you can log in. If you've not created a login, you're going to click join the membership, scroll down just a little bit. You're not going to subscribe to the newsletter. Newsletter is completely different from the resource library. You scroll down just a little bit, add all that in, and then you're just going to put them in. So these pieces are super small because this book is so tiny. I printed them at 40%. They all fit on the answer mat, but they're tiny. They're little babies, but they're so cute. Look at the little hedgehog. He's so cute. So there's that. I have not taped these in yet. So Ashley said, do you laminate the question pieces that get taped into the book? Or is that just craziness? No, actually I do. I print the page, stick it in a pouch, and send it through the laminator. So the questions, all of my question pieces are actually laminated because, so can you see it's shiny? It's shiny. I don't know if you can tell. So I do laminate my answer pieces only because when I'm adding the answer boxes to the text or to the tape, if it goes on crooked, I can easily peel it off and not ruin the question. Also, if I am prepping a book and I accidentally stick the wrong answer piece on a page, I just cut the outline super lightly, like over the tape, cut the outline of the question box, and I can pop that question piece out without ruining the book page, without ripping the tape off and ripping the picture off the page. So that's how I do it, and then I can add the other piece in and put it right over it. So I do laminate my questions only because I like my boxes straight in a line, but you don't have to laminate them if you want to. That's just personal preference, but it does make it easier if you want them, if you like them all lined up perfect. So this is the resource library. So this is on my website, this freebie, and then this freebie is on TPT. Both of the links are above. So if you wanted to grab them, this one's great for February, and then this one is great for social skills, or great just for using it during the winter games or during the winter months as well, talking about sportsmanship. So, what book do I want to read with you guys tonight? Let's read The Little Old Lady, because I feel like we've been here for quite a while and I don't want to keep you too much longer. So I'm going to read There Was a Little Old Lady Who Swallowed a Rose. Now, I'm going to spread all of my pieces out on this mat. If I were doing this with one student, now, let me preface this by saying this. So if I were doing this with one student, depending on the student, I would not give them the answer mat full of pieces. Only your higher level students. This book isn't terrible because there aren't that many answer pieces. But, for example, if you're doing Snowman Paul, okay, this one's not even that many. If you give a child a book and you're like, okay, I'm going to read this book to you. Here's all your answer pieces. Pay attention. This kid's going to be done before you even start. So I recommend not giving your child the full answer mat. But in this scenario, we're going to pretend that this is one of my higher level students, maybe one grade level behind in reading. This story has only a couple of answer pieces, so it's not terrible. They can see all of the pieces on the mat, and it's a story that has a lot of repetition. So it's going to be one of those easier stories for our friends because of the repetition in the book. It kind of helps them with the comprehension. So, There Wasn't a Lady Who Swallowed a Rose. Bubba's going to come read with me. All right, let me see if I can get this right. There wasn't a lady who swallowed a rose. I don't know why she swallowed the rose, but that's how it goes. So what I would do is I would read this to my class on the first day. We're not going to answer the pieces. For some of the books, definitely the old lady books, I have 2 copies. So I'm going to have a copy back here on my classroom library back here. And then I'm also going to have this copy for the adapted books. Now, all of my books I don't have 2 copies of. The Old Lady I love, and you can get these books at like the Dollar Tree, not the Dollar Tree, sorry, not the Dollar Tree, the Goodwill. I find them at the Goodwill all the time. And I also find them at half-price books. They're usually like $3. So this book is very inexpensive, and you can find a lot of places. So I'm going to read this to my students the first day. The second day might be the day that we're going to go through during story time or during guided reading or independent centers when they're working with me or with a para. They're going to do this with the mat. Then maybe the second day, if it's a longer story, we're going to finish the mat, or we'll go back and do it again. And then maybe the next 2 days, if you're going to do a whole week of the same story, then you can put these in centers, or you can send them home in a reading toolkit, which I have a blog post on that if you're curious what's in the reading toolkit. You can send this home for parents to work on with their students. So we're going to pretend that we've read the story once already. So y'all have read it with me yesterday. We're going to read it together now. We're going to answer the pieces as we go along. So I'm going to read the page, and then I'm going to read the questions. So, there wasn't a lady who swallowed a rose. So, who swallowed the rose? And then the student's going to take the piece and just stick it right in the book. What did she swallow? She swallowed this rose. Why did she swallow the rose? And all it says is because that's how it goes. So the little lady books are going to be a picture, what did she swallow? And then the very first why question is always going to be a text, because that's usually what it is in the story. There was an old lady who swallowed some lace. She didn't race to swallow that lace. So what did she swallow? She swallowed lace. She swallowed the lace to tie the rose. I don't know why she swallowed the rose, but that's how it goes. So why did she swallow the lace? Because the lace was to tie up the rose. So you can see the piece here, the lace to tie up the rose. So they can see the progression of, oh, the lace goes with the rose. There was an old lady who swallowed some glitter. She wasn't a quitter to swallow that glitter. So what did she swallow? She swallowed the glitter. Now, if I'm doing this in whole group, I'm going to spread these pieces out amongst my students. And I'll read the book. I won't hold it up like this. I actually lay it down on the table because there's a kidney bean table. So I'll lay it down in the middle of the table. All my students can see. So I can visually see all the answer pieces in front of them. My higher level students are going to have more answer pieces in front of them. My lower level students aren't going to have that many. Or it could be, like I said, like Ashley's in this this live right now. She has the paint stick with the Velcro on it, and she gives her students 1 or 2 answer choices. So you could simply do it that way as well if you don't want students to have like physical pieces in front of them if it's distracting or something like that. You could simply use a paint stick, which you can get for free at Home Depot, add a strip of Velcro, and you're good to go. So you could do it that way. So she swallowed the glitter to trim the lace. She swallowed the lace to tie the rose. I don't know why she swallowed the rose, but that's how it goes. So why did she swallow the glitter? She swallowed the glitter to go with the lace. It's really hard to put Velcro on backwards. There was an old lady who swallowed some candy. It was fine and dandy to swallow that candy. I am struggling today to read this. So what did she swallow? She swallowed candy. So they're just going to stick it on here. Why did she swallow the candy? So you're going to read it. Why did she swallow the candy? Because the candy goes with the glitter. There was an old lady who swallowed a jewel. So what did she swallow? She swallowed the jewel. She wasn't a fool to swallow that jewel. Why did she swallow the jewel? She swallowed the jewel to go with the candy. So if you wanted, you could also have a board in front of your students to kind of read along as it goes, so they can follow along with all the different parts. There was an old lady who swallowed some hearts. So what did she swallow? She swallowed hearts. Why did she swallow the hearts? She swallowed the hearts to go with the jewel. Another question that I do get to on the mats is when I'm putting them back, do I put them back in order? So for my sanity, I do. That way when I'm handing pieces out, if I'm going to hand them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can hand them that way. If I'm numbering the back of them, then I don't need to put them in order. Some of them are going to fall off too, like the larger pieces. Like as I was sitting here, I just had a piece fall off the mat because there's so many stacked. But you don't have to put them back in order on the mat. It's completely up to you. I do, just so that I know the order of events when I go to use it the next time, especially if I'm going to send it home in a reading toolkit to parents. I want the story in order. And it's also great to number the back for that as well and let them know. So there was an old lady who swallowed a card. What did she swallow? A card. It brought the old lady so much happiness that she smiled and laughed. And so how did she feel? You can look at the picture. You can read it in the text. She had so much happiness. She blew a big kiss. So what did she do? She blew a kiss. Happy Valentine's Day. And then they can put the Happy Valentine's Day on the back. And that's it. To store the pieces, so pretend all my pieces are on here, or maybe you saw me do it before I laid them down. I stick the mats inside of the books. So all of my books here are sitting with the mats inside of the books. It's easier for storage. That way I can see the book cover when I go to grab it, and I don't have to search for 2 things at once. When I want to pull a book out, I can just pull the book and I have everything that I need. Right now I'm currently storing them in a large Sterilite container that I just got at Walmart. Like one of the ones that you put in your attic or your garage to store stuff. That's literally what I'm storing them in right now. It's working great. I have all of the sets. So I have the Eric Carle set, December, January, February, and all the freebies so far are fitting in one bin. So I'm going to label it on the outside of the bin. I'm just going to put what months are in there, and then I'll probably have to get another bin for the rest of them. But that's how I'm currently storing them. You can store them in a filing cabinet. You can store them in bins like these that I have back here on the bookshelf. They would be great for that as well. I'm not putting them in these bins on my bookshelf simply because some of the books I do have doubles of, like little old lady, she has her own little bookshelf back there. She has her own little pull out. And I like to store my books by month, and most of them are full already. So I don't really have room to store the adapted books in there. So I'm just storing them in a separate bin, but I do put them on, you know, those tiered like bookshelf things, like, I don't know what they're called. But you can put them on that. I do put them on that when the month comes, because you do the monthly display of books. And again, I do send them home in reading toolkits. So it's great to just be able to grab them, know where all of my adapted books are at once, and I can just pull them out by month. So that's great. If you have any other questions about adapted books, please let me know. I will go back after this and put in the link for the How to Build Your Classroom Library on a Budget, so y'all can grab the 15% discount code for thrift books, so you can grab all of these books for not a lot of money. And I will also add in the reading toolkit link, just in case any of you are curious what it looks like, how I use it, what it is, and how I use adapted books when I send them home to parents, so you can read that as well. I do have March and April's lists ready. So if you are a member or you are a newsletter subscriber, you're going to get that list tomorrow in the newsletter. If you are not a newsletter subscriber, you are going to want to go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/N, capital D, capital C, and then newsletter, all in lowercase letters. I will put the link in here after this. But tomorrow evening, you will be getting the March and April lists, and then I have to add the next list. But I'm not going to tell you what the secret list is. So you're going to want to join the newsletter if you haven't already. Those lists are coming out. I'm giving them to you super early, so you have time to get all of those books. I know some of you do Donors Choose, which is great to get all of the books. That way you have plenty of time to do your project. If you do a project, by the way, send me the link. But you have time to build your project, get your project funded, and then order all of the books and get them in time to be able to prep them. So I'm trying to do them far enough in advance that y'all have time for that. So subscribe to the newsletter, and I will see y'all soon. Have a great week. Bye.